With the Formula One 2022 season well and truly underway, some teams have been left re-evaluating their cars, others their strategy, and others, well, everything. McLaren's Daniel Ricciardo has opened up about how and why his curtain opener at the Bahrain Grand Prix catapulted in spectacular fashion. According to him, he handled the Bahrain GP like a test session as his McLaren workforce totally flopped. In today's video, we'll be discussing Daniel Ricciardo and McLaren's disappointing Bahrain Grand Prix performance. Stay tuned. What has Ricciardo said? The Australian veteran driver had a nightmarish evening in Bahrain after he ended up missing the practice sessions due to the COVID scare. Yet more so than him, there was the failure of the car, present as a far bigger reason for the terrible performance. There can be no valid and acceptable excuses for how McLaren's workforce completely failed to bring out the top speed of its MCL36 race car, as Ricciardo finished the GP at a disappointing 14th, with teammate Lando Norris just one spot behind. Ricciardo had qualified 18th in the qualifying session, and despite not being rock bottom at the get-go, very early into the race he had slipped back 2 spots and was languishing just there, in the 20th spot. As the race progressed, he did make inroads and ended the race in 14th, but it was nothing too significant, nothing to make an appreciable experience for him. In the aftermath of that disaster, he has now come out and openly admitted what actually happened in the Grand Prix. According to Ricciardo, he was treating the race as sort of a test run to get the hang of the car in a competitive race scenario. This has done nothing but show how far behind the McLaren team is to the rest of the competition. For him, he said that it was a very tricky situation to be in, and there was a lot that they had to try and understand in the context of the season ahead. He justified his decision to treat the GP like a test session by saying that it was because it was his first race of the season, distance-wise. He was trying to get a better feel of the compound tires he would be working with and get acquainted to the car lap by lap. Providing his analysis of the performance of the car, he acknowledged that the car does indeed lack pace, and it's not due to one particular aspect, but sort of a generalized problem. He also mentioned how the car is lacking in downforce as well, which is a key aspect to the car's performance. Next, McLaren's boss offers his insight. His analysis was backed up by that of Andreas Seidl, the McLaren team principal. Seidl, speaking after the race, said that their car is gripping the surface poorly, and they have a problem with the car's brake ducts, something that has not yet been figured out. Ricciardo also said that he believes the car has more weaknesses than strengths at this point in time. What did the other McLaren driver say? Teammate Lando Norris echoed these sentiments after the race. He said that he believes their team is way off the pace of the rest of the cars on the grid. He believes at this point in time the car isn't right at all because of how far behind they're lagging from the rest of the competition, and that means they need to take a fresh new start and figure out a couple things. Norris said that despite the fact that he, like everyone else on the team, is trying to find a solution to the problem, it does not in any way or form mean that there will be an immediate result. But what he does know is that they'll need to understand and remedy these shortcomings in the coming months. Ricciardo has also struggled a lot in the previous season, being constantly outperformed by Norris. He had been struggling to adjust to the new car in his debut season with McLaren, but this season, with not one but both drivers underperforming massively in Bahrain, McLaren needs to address some big questions because unlike last season, teething issues are no longer a valid excuse. Now, the fans' reaction. Despite the McLaren team finding the test sessions and the qualifying sessions huge hurdles, surprisingly and disappointingly for their fans, the team was no match for even cars running in the middle of the pack. The incredible season-opening Grand Prix saw many underdogs like Tsunoda and Zhou make it into the top 10 and among the points, while McLaren didn't even manage to put up a half-decent fight and finished the race lowly at 14th and 15th. The fans were even more so disappointed because they have taken a massive liking to the Lando Norris-Daniel Ricciardo duo. The drivers who were expected to be part of the fight up front for a podium spot ran into car problems and had no positives to take away from this race. Ricciardo had to deal with a recurring deterrent cooling problem, and Norris had problems with the car's pace. The American-based team Haas was the last on the Constructors' Championship table in the 2021 season, and with the race not even completed, memes were already flooding onto social media, calling McLaren of 2022 the new Haas. While McLaren fans were subdued, the rest of the Formula One fans were having a field day, having something new to make memes on. The memes ranged from those making fun of Ricciardo's career choices to those that were based on hilarious commentary moments. The fans may be dismayed in having to put up with these memes. The McLaren team back at the factory has a very real threat to deal with considering that their cars were unable to attain the pace that they would have ideally wanted. The team's chances of comeback are very slim, and they might be running the risk of dropping down in the Constructors' Championship positions. Next, Bahrain Grand Prix, a recap. Ferrari finally broke their nearly 3-year-long Grand Prix winless streak, with Charles Leclerc winning the season-opening Bahrain Grand Prix. Carlos Sainz backed him up in second place and achieved an incredible Ferrari 1-2, while on the other hand, Red Bull, the team of the defending champion, had a disastrous run with a double DNF, did not finish, which ended up giving Mercedes' Lewis Hamilton the third and final spot on the podium in an incredible start to the season. Verstappen, who was starting in the GP in P2, tried to undercut the pole sitter Leclerc on lap 15, and did end up shaving down down the 3.5-second lead to just 0.35 seconds by the time Leclerc led the way into lap 16. This challenge set up a wheel-to-wheel 3-lap-long nail-biting battle for the lead with Leclerc, who managed to hold on to the lead because Verstappen locked up on the first turn of lap 19. There was a second round of pit stops on lap 31, once again brought forward by Verstappen, but unlike the last time, this time Leclerc had a much more comfortable lead to work with. From then on, everything was straightforward as could be, and going Leclerc's way comfortably. Until on lap 44, Verstappen pitted, and then on lap 46, the safety car had to be deployed when Pierre Gasly's AlphaTauri burst into flames, and Leclerc capitalized on the opportunity to pit as well. 5 laps later, with the safety car all set to be called back, the restart on lap 51 saw Leclerc execute a perfect restart. He raced off into a commanding lead, and once again Verstappen found it impossible to keep up because of a problem with his steering and a suspected problem with the car's power unit. Starting off in P3 and consistently in third place throughout the race, Sainz saw the opportunity and capitalized on the defending champion's unfortunate problems on lap 54, and went around him into second place. Red Bull's Sergio Perez and Hamilton followed next. Having dangerously tested Leclerc again and again for first place, it couldn't have gone any worse for Verstappen, and he had to retire. Hamilton was in P4, following Verstappen's misfortune, and almost bumper to bumper, well, figuratively at least, with Perez, when the Mexican himself started to complain about issues with the car's power unit, and Red Bull's night went from bad to catastrophic when on turn 1 of lap 57, the last lap, Perez's engine lost power, and Hamilton had a free run at the third and final podium spot. Mercedes' George Russell, who had started off in P9, had a far more impressive race as compared to the rest of the middlers, and climbed up the positions to P4, following the retirement of both Red Bulls. He kept off Haas's Kevin Magnussen, who finished 5th in his return to Formula 1. Rounding off the top 10 were Alfa Romeo's Valtteri Bottas in 6th, Esteban Ocon in 7th, AlphaTauri's Yuki Tsunoda in 8th, Alpine's Fernando Alonso in 9th, and in the last spot among the points was Alfa Romeo's debutant Zhou Guanyu in 10th. That's a wrap for this video. Will we see Red Bull remedy their problems and get back up to their winning ways? Or will we see Verstappen unable to defend his 2021 driver's title? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.